1980, her first English book titled Thank You, India, A German Woman's Journey to the Wisdom of Yoga was published. Along with writing about subjects of yoga, aspects of Indian spirituality, and life positive, she has also written about the Christian missionaries and their negative impact on India. She has put forward several poignant queries as to why Hindus are not trying to preserve their identity or exercise their rights like the followers of Abrahamic ideologies. Such a dedicated stance from her is what makes Mariaji a very, very important warrior for Sanatana Dharma, because of which I hope her stopover in India will last forever. Mariaji, with utmost happiness and pride, may I call upon you to take on the mic. Thank you so much once again for joining us. We are indeed very, very fortunate to have you with us here today. Ravishankar ji, thank you once again. Mariaji, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Vidya ji.
Thank you, Jyothi, for a wonderful introduction.
Too much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I think we can start with the questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. First of all, actually, we would, for the audience sake, can you explain actually your background, how you came to be, and how you came your stopover, the story behind your stopover in India, and the journey from there.
Actually, my background is, of course, I was born in a Catholic family. I am from South Germany, Bavaria, and basically everyone who is from there originally is Catholic. And in the 50s, this was taken for granted. And maybe I first should say how I lost faith also in Christianity, because this happened already as a teenager. Not only when I came to India, because it was already in the 60s. I was in boarding school, and I was in a Christian convent boarding school, and we had quite a number of nuns who were, I felt, very hypocritical, who helped to get us out. And also in the 1960s, the atmosphere in Germany was very much a little rebellious against the church already. For example, the Pope, he did not behave really well during Nazi Germany. He was criticized for it. And then we knew about that the church was selling a salvation for money, and the story of the popes. But I personally had, my main problem with the church was, how can God be so unfair that he, we have only one life. We should have a same starting point. And somebody is rich, somebody is born in a rich family, somebody in a poor family, somebody is very beautiful, somebody is not beautiful, somebody is intelligent. There are so many, so much difference between people, and we are all supposed to reach heaven after one life. And I felt this was unfair, and even more than unfair, I felt that this cannot be God. Actually, he cannot be so cruel, because before the Second Vatican Council, there was still, for example, if a baby dies before he is baptized, he would go to hell. For example, I was baptized already in hospital on the 3rd day of my life, because I was a very weak baby. And they were thinking maybe I'm going again. And so that I don't go to hell, they made sure that I go to heaven. So this, I could not believe that this God is true. And yeah, many people, that was a general atmosphere in Germany at that time. And I forgot about Christianity more or less. But I could also not really forget that there must be some power behind this miracle of universe. And also I could not really reconcile what is the meaning of life. Because if it's only enjoyment, it's not worth it really. At the end, I will die. And this attitude, when I die, it's finished, everything is out, somehow it didn't really suit me. So this question, what is the meaning of life, I just could not come. to any conclusion when I was in Germany. It stayed with me even into my 20s. Christianity I had more or less put aside, and but the problem is with Christianity is that many people get out now, but together with Christianity, they throw also away this belief in a higher power, in God, because we don't know another God. We know only the Christian God. So in this way, I blame the church for it, that it makes so many atheists, because on one hand, it's difficult to believe what the church tells us. And on the other hand, this atheism also doesn't really make sense. So I didn't come to a conclusion what is the meaning of life. And then I landed up in India, as like on a stopover, I said. And luckily, very much in the beginning of my stopover, because otherwise I would have moved on, I was in Kanyakumari, and there's a memorial for Swami Vivekananda. And I bought this book, Jnana Yoga. And now I can't even imagine it anymore, because I read it after 20 or 30 years again, and it didn't touch me so much. But at that time, it touched me so much. I said, wow, that is exactly what I felt and what I could not have expressed. It really made a big impression. And then also, very luckily, soon after, I landed at the Kumbh Mela, where I met very special people. I had no idea that there even was a Kumbh Mela. I landed up in Hardwar not knowing anything. No? And I was also very shy. But then there were people who said, come, my guru is coming, come with me. So I was taken along, and yeah, I was very lucky, and I discovered that in India, there is wisdom. We are lacking wisdom in the West.
Very well. Vidya ji.
I can't hear you.
Vidya ji.
Yeah. Sorry, Ravi. Yeah. Actually, Maria ji, I just wanted to ask you, you had mentioned about quite a few questions which had gone, there were unanswered questions. So what were those questions to which you were seeking answers?
Basically, this question, what is the meaning of life? This was my main question. What is important? How should I live? I remember before I was with Lufthansa, and I was traveling all over, and I met so many people, and I always felt I watch other people living, and I was not sure how should I live really. And I remember once in Panama, I went on a small island off the coast in Panama, and for a few days I was wanting to sit in the sea, came under my balcony. It was a beautiful place. And then I said, I have to get clear what is life about. And after a few days, I left from there, and I still didn't know what is life about. So this was really troubling me. And in India, it was cleared, because now what this wisdom is, what impressed me so much, is basically, first of all, it is about truth. It is not about God, really. It is about what is true. And your scriptures also say criteria for what is true. Truth has to be always, past, present, future. It means the whole universe is gone. Our bodies and minds are gone. Can't be truth, absolute truth. And then it has to be self-evident, shine out of itself. Tripura Rahasya makes this, writes about this criterion. So then the Rishis says that the only thing, it's not a thing, of course, the only thing which is true, really, really true, is pure awareness. Now, this pure means basically thoughtless, no movement in the mind. And this is basically very difficult for Westerners to understand, because Westerners, we associate consciousness, awareness, with I am aware of something, I am conscious of something. This empty space, this void, which has great potential. This is if you don't take time to dive into it, it's not so easy to grasp what it means. It's not an intellectual thing. You have really to dedicate some aspiration also, even asking for, please help me to see what it is about. And in this way, I'm very grateful to India that, I felt like Swami Vivekananda gives this, I said several times, this example of the ocean and the waves. Brahman, the one, this is also one thing which Christianity and Islam, I don't think, understand about Hindu Dharma. The original one God, if you want to call it God, the original one great power, great intelligence behind all this, it is here, Brahman, or you call it Brahman, Maya, Shiva, Shakti, Purusha, Prakriti, different words are there, but basically it is about the one, thoughts cannot reach, words cannot reach. It is, what to say, can't be said. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, the scripture say, or even like if you come into this realm, it's Sat Chit Ananda. So from that unmanifest, avyakta, there comes all these forms and names, including the Devatas and Devis, even the gods also, whom Christianity and Islam criticize so much. In a way, basically, their God is on the same level as our Devas. Only Hindus know that all the Devas are essentially one with this consciousness, with the awareness.
Absolutely. Maharaji, you mentioned about the Western world. Can you tell me what is the view of Western world towards Hinduism in the past and the present? I believe it is changed at the moment.
Yeah, it is changing very much actually. I just wrote 2 articles about Indian influence on German philosophers and on German scientists in the 18th, 19th century, 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s. So when the first ancient manuscripts came to the German university, to the German elite, they were very impressed, even excited. For them, India was a land of the dream. We have a whole genre of literature which is called Romanticism. I mean, we felt in Europe, we were so dry, our soul has dried up. And you may have heard of Arthur Schopenhauer, who praised the Upanishads. And there were many Germans, quite well-known Germans, who were very taken in by this knowledge. And they also said, for example, Schopenhauer, he said, our religion, means Christianity, will never, ever take root in India. On the contrary, thoughts from India will enrich our culture. I don't think he really expected that Christianity is sometimes a little bit devious in the sense that they lure people and even deceive. I heard in Kerala, I was once in Amma's ashram, and I heard a story says that some missionaries were throwing a cross, Jesus on the cross, and a Krishna statue into the backwaters and showing them. So the Krishna statue was of metal and the cross was of wood. And lo and behold, Jesus was up and Krishna had sunk down. I mean, if you are really, simple-minded, you could be impressed by this. Or even Tibetans here, where I lived, there was a Tibetan girl, she was in Tibetan boarding, and she told me that they were also lured into Christianity, like they should pray to Jesus, and next morning they would find some sweets under the pillow, and things like this, no? it's a little not so nice, I find, because yeah, one should be straightforward. No? Either you have good arguments or you don't have them. And this trying to lure people, for what? For controlling them. I mean, in Germany, we have a saying there was this very good cooperation between the king and the pope in earlier times. Since Charlemagne, I think you pronounce him this, we call him Karl the Great, who kind of forcefully converted Germany. So since that time, there was a cooperation between Pope and King. And we have a saying in Germany, the King says to the Pope, I keep them poor, the people, I keep the people poor, and you keep them stupid. I can't hear you.
Vidya ji, your question.
Yeah, actually, Maria ji, actually, I wanted to ask you, of the experiences which you had, especially with the gurus, which of them are, which guru influenced you the most, and what was your experience with that person?
Oh, that is very difficult to answer, actually. I am very grateful to this first two personalities, like Devaraha Baba and Sri Anandamaya, because without them, I probably would have moved on to Australia. And I really think Devaraha Baba I met a few times, and I got his blessing for staying in India, actually. This was the one question I asked him, not question, but I said I would like to stay longer in India. And Anandamaya, I was around a lot, and in her surroundings, there was also one German journalist who was a Nazi at the time, and then there was a Jewish woman from Vienna, and through them I learned a lot, and there were also some English little booklets. So this helped me, but then I really didn't want a guru. For 7 years, I traveled, I wrote down once the gurus. I had met 36 big names in 7 years. Just moving. And, but I was afraid of having a guru because I thought if I have a guru, I have to do what he tells me. And if he tells me go back to Germany, what do I do? So in this way, I was not wanting, but then things so happened because I met somebody and he said, it will be good if you go to Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba. And yes, I stayed there for 7 years and I left. And then I stayed with another guru, a coffee planter in Kodagu for 5 years. And I also left. But I think the time with my gurus was very necessary and very intense because the focus is very strong when you are with a guru. No? So focus on, yeah, I want to know the truth. And at that time I was meditating a lot, morning an hour, evening an hour, which I don't do now, and it's a pity actually. But right now it's maybe a different phase. But this was very good, and I had also some nice experience with some gurus, but I think it goes too far to talk about.
Understood. Maria ji, you have been living in India for quite some time now. And the next question is, what do you think are the threats that India and Sanatana Dharma is facing at the moment?
Big threats, I think. There is, I mean, it is so incredible. They tell lies about Hindus and they spread it openly. And then they make a small notice that correcting it, which is so unfair because nobody knows it. You have already spread the falsehood and many people believe it because most people in the West especially know nothing about India. They are much more, I think, really more ignorant than Hindus are, or Indians are ignorant about the world. especially like educated Indians, they would know a lot. But imagine if I hear something what is happening in Bolivia or so, and I have not followed it. And I read an article, and of course I believe it somehow. If I read it about India or about Germany, I would be critical because I know more, and I would I would not be so gullible. But if I read about a country about which I don't know much, then I will believe. So the problem is in Germany now, so many people believe like this non-stop accusation of Indians are rapists. The culture, and they mean the Hindu culture, is fosters. It is so unfair. It is absolutely a lie. I mean, the figures are, the numbers are there, but they still push it. Like when this nun in Calcutta was gang raped some years ago, immediately the church also shouted Hindu fundamentalists. But it turned out that they were Bangladeshis, Muslims from Bangladesh. And then nobody hears it. I heard it somehow because I am interested also, but most people will never come to know about it. So I kept even, I think, there was on Facebook, was a post by an ex-Hindu Brahmin, he wrote. And he posted a picture on an RSS letterhead. And it says, your Christianity is samasya, our mission is garvapsi. Means Christianity is a problem. Our mission is now to convert you back. From now onwards, no Christianity, only Hindutva. No Bible, only Bhagavad Gita. Either convert or leave Hindustan soon. We will erase Christianity by 2021. It must be already older. Jai Sri Ram. Can you believe it? I mean, there should be some, Vidya, I can't hear you. You have your, how do I?
That's okay, Mariaji. It's okay. Continue. Because we want you to speak. We want to hear you. Continue. Please continue.
No, I mean, those lies also, once a friend from Switzerland, she called me, she sent an email and said, is it true that Hindus are destroying churches in India? And Christians are very frightened and they huddle together. No, nothing. From Switzerland, she got an email, she forwarded it to me. And it was by some, I don't remember now, I Googled, it is a Christian Christian organization also, who put out this email to their Christians in Europe, saying Christians are under attack in India. And as I said, if you don't know anything about India, you believe it. And now this bombardment has been so much that even people, a friend of mine, she's in her colleagues, she meets sometimes with her colleagues, and one of them was even in India. And even they, who were in India and should know it better, they are now also saying, well, the media must be knowing what is happening in India. So I don't know how, I mean, it shows also that they are very they must be frightened that people come to know the truth about India. And I feel we are far too timid. Like Christianity and Islam are saying openly, everybody has to become Christian. Everybody has to become Muslim. It is our duty to convert. After my mother has passed away, I went to the priest in our small town. And when he came to know that I live in India, he said, oh, a friend of mine just recently went to India. I tweeted it also. And he said, and I said, I hope not for conversion. And his reply was, of course, for conversion. It's our duty. And Hindus don't realize this. Some missionaries really believe it. I don't think the Pope believes it. I don't think the top people believe it. They have an agenda. But simple people, the missionaries, they really think they do something good. Not all, maybe, but some, yeah. And then there's also this other thing that they recruit young people who want to go abroad. It's very attractive. No, you go to India, you go to Africa or to foreign, and your stay is paid for somehow, and you are trying to convert people. So this insincerity, I find it very, very painful, and yeah, it should not be there. And it is not in tune. I mean, if you think religion is meant to make you better. If a religion makes you hypocritical, then something is wrong with this religion.
Vidyaji.
Yeah, Madhyaji, since you had mentioned about the Christians, so basically we're coming back to that, the conversion strategies. What have you noticed about the conversion strategies that take place here in India?
I don't actually know so much about it because I am not in this circle. No? I keep away. Sometimes in earlier times, I would meet missionaries, and they would expect me to be a missionary because I'm not anymore in this age of travelers, and they get quite shocked, no? when I react, and some react very badly also. I remember I had once how to say, a little quarrel with somebody at the railway station in New Delhi when he asked me, I was waiting for the train, I was early, and he came, and baseball cap and everything, Englishman, and he came and said, are you a missionary? And I said, of course not. And then after a while, it came to me and I said, are you a missionary? And he said, yes. Then how can you do this? I said, India is a free country, not like Germany. That's how they start. And so, yeah, it's, but now this doesn't happen. But I know from a friend who knows the evangelical scene in America very well, that they are very, very organized, very systematic. They have mapped the whole India. They try to get at all different groups and have a very clear strategy and have different approaches to different types of people. And yeah, at the same time, they put down the upper castes very badly, especially Brahmins. She even said, if there would be a genocide now of Brahmins in India, probably American Christians would not even react because they would feel they deserve it. And this is so serious. Imagine, like, even in Tamil Nadu, some, I don't know, chief minister was saying, or recently they were calling for a genocide of Brahmins. How is it possible? I mean, we have to be grateful to the Brahmins because they have preserved at least a little what we still have. The Shankaracharya of Kanchipuram, the previous one, Chandrasekhar, now I don't remember the name. So he was one saying, out of over 1,000 shakas of the Vedas, now only about 8 or 9 are completely preserved. Imagine how much has been lost. But even this little thing is so much. Vivek de Broy said we still have 40 million texts and only about 5% is translated. And I think this is also one point why Hindus are so much attacked, because I think those powers who want to control us, because Hindu Dharma is for freedom. It wants to liberate a human being. It wants to show him that actually you are divine, divinity is in you. You are not a small person in a big world. You are one with everything. This is not wanted to be known by common people. And now I lost track what I wanted to say, but yeah, that they attack it so much because they are frightened that Indians study Sanskrit no more, and it is happening. And they may discover things which take India off. I mean, up, how to say, which put it again on top. Because like when I wrote about this Indian influence on German scientists, I was really amazed. And then somebody sent a link of Swarajya magazine from 5 years ago. I didn't know this, that Hitler had brought over a Brahmin from Andhra Pradesh, one Dandi Patla Shastri, Vishwanath Shastri, and to decode Sanskrit texts which were used for making arms, missiles. So there's concrete knowledge also. And there's so much still in every little village in India. There is a temple which has so many mysteries. There's still so much to discover. And I think now this massive attack against India and Hindus especially, it started mainly when Hindus were starting to wake up. And maybe you remember some 10 or 12 years ago, the internet Hindu was attacked. Because suddenly on internet, there were people who spoke up for Hinduism. How can they? I mean, we had put Hinduism so much down into the dump. When recently this politician was talking about Hindu is a dirty word. Basically, they had very much tried to make it like this. Even when I came to India, I knew that Hinduism I should not use in my articles for Germany, but I used Indian wisdom or Eastern wisdom. It was really, they had managed to decouple Hinduism as this kind of weird religion which worships so many strange gods, and you cannot take seriously, any educated person cannot take serious. And so many Hindus also became apologetic because they were not sure what they don't know much about their tradition, and so they were not sure whether this is right. So,
Yes, Mariaji. Recently, talking about attacks, recently we had a lot of attacks in UK towards Hindus. What is your take on it?
it was again an agenda, I feel. I saw a report and analysis about how it was prepared for on social media. That they had really, I mean, Hindus were portrayed as aggressors. There were 40% more, I wrote it down somewhere, I don't know, 40% more mention of Hindus than Muslims. And Hindus were clearly called aggressors, and Muslims were retaliating only. And then there were false news, like a child was kidnapped, mosque was attacked, which was proved to be false. Yet it has gone out, and people, maybe they don't believe now so much, because now Europe has itself experienced about the influence, the big influence of people from mainly Muslim countries, of migrants in Germany, in England, in France. And even though the media protects them to a great extent, common people are wary. They connect it somehow with their doctrine, because by now most people know that Islam and also Christianity consider heathen Christians or Kafirs, Muslims, as inferior. And what always surprised me is, look, Christians won't say anything because they are in the same boat. Muslims won't say anything. It can only be, and Buddhists, I don't really know. There are certain Buddhists who are very anti-Hindu, unfortunately. It is really sad because I think they are also contracted in this massive attack against Hinduism. Hinduism is a mother. I read about a Sri Lankan Buddhist when he was asked, but why are you so negative about Hinduism? Hinduism is your mother. And then he replied, even a bad mother can have a good son. So we are under attack from all sides, basically. But I feel we should have the courage to stand. Look, we have the most profound philosophy. This philosophy is all-inclusive. It makes the best mindset. It is not, we are right and you are wrong. I sometimes say, we are best, Hindus. And then I am attacked saying, no, don't say this, we are not like them. And then it's not, best is not only true. Best is you can compare and we can talk about it. You can say, no, you are not the best, and explain to me what is better in your doctrine. Because those two are doctrines while Hindu Dharma is questioning. So in this way, we should not even have hesitation to call Hindu Dharma best. It is the best option for humanity. If humanity wants to get out of this huge degradation which it is in now, especially in the West, Hindu Dharma is the way. And I really want to ask the youth, especially because the youth is the focus of those attacks also. Brahmins and youth. They resonate them, take them away from their culture. And it's very sad. I really want to ask them not to follow the Western model because you will be very unhappy.
Right, Mariaji, actually, we're speaking about your experiences. You mentioned about Devaraha Baba and you mentioned about Anandamayi Ma. So in your experiences, have you come across people who turned out to be fake godmen or godwomen or any such kind of characters?
I find it is very difficult to judge a guru. It is, especially when there are many people praising him also in his surroundings. No? So it is, I think there may be fake gurus because it's easy to teach Vedanta. And I was once in a train, a long journey, and there was a colonel with a very strong voice. I wrote it in my book also. And he said, I also could be a guru. I only need to talk a bit of Indian philosophy and look knowingly around myself. And I should have a few people who listen to me, can even be from my relatives. And then they will go and say, oh, he talked so nicely about philosophy, so wonderful. And then I have only to play a little bit divide and rule, in the sense that I prefer some and I ignore others. And then my future will be set. I mean, they will look after me. So he has a small point. I don't think it happens so much, but I think it happens that people start teaching and presenting themselves as a guru when they have not when they are not really living in this oneness. Like with Anandamayi, I really felt she was living in this oneness, and that's why I felt it impressed me also so much. Once she said, there is no difference between you and me, and I don't see a difference. Only for convention's sake, I make difference. And Anandamayi also said, the association with a guru consists in getting close for the ego. So this is an important point. So it is very difficult to say, like, sometimes the guru behaves very not nice, no? But is it for your good? Or is he just showing off what power he has over us? It's very difficult. And I thought a lot, if one needs a guru really, I mean, if you have a genuine guru, it is very, very, very helpful, no doubt. And even not such a genuine guru is also helpful because he focuses you a lot. Like when I was with my second guru, I was meditating really a lot, and I had some amazing inner experiences also. So, which made me feel I am on the right path. But after 5 years, I felt I have to go. I have to rely on my inner guru only. And also one thing, it's much easier to trust and to surrender to a guru who is not anymore in a body. Like for some time before I had before I went to Satyameva and before I went to this coffee planter guru, I considered like Ramana Maharishi as my guru. In a sense, I read his conversations, and this is also the case for Christians and Muslims. Like Jesus is no more in a body. Many Christians should ask themselves, would they really follow Jesus if he was just a young man of 30 around here? This is many points like.
Understood. Mariaji, recently there was a forum that happened. It was called Dismantling Hindutva. See, in general, Hindus doesn't do anything, or we don't engage in any such activities or nefarious activities or anything like that. But then the question comes, why dismantling Hindutva?
Well, I can guess only again these 2 points which I felt that they don't want people to know about Hindu Dharma, the truth about it, and they also don't want Indians know about it. They try to wean Indians away. That's why all this, and they want to make Indian society look bad. So Indians feel apologetic about it and defensive about it. So, but this dismantling Hindutva, this conference was outrageous. Imagine there was a conference dismantling global Islam, dismantling global Christianity. And they can do it with us. And I wrote an article once a few years ago, and I said there's something lacking in Hinduism. And this lacking is that, like when Vyasa wrote the Vedas, not wrote but compiled the Vedas, he should have also written, this alone is the truth. If you don't believe it, you will go eternally into hell. Or, I mean, Vashishta should have said, this, what I told Rama, this is the truth, and if you don't believe it, or Krishna, and so many, or even Amma in Kerala, if she would say, I am the only daughter of God, the only true daughter, and if those who don't believe it and who don't follow what I say, they will go eternally to hell. I mean, I say it jokingly, no? But this one sentence seems to make religion respectable. We are not respected because we don't threaten anyone. So how to make people see sense? I don't understand. But we should have, I think this conference was a little a damp script, or how one says, it was not really taking off very well, but they tried, no? At least they tried.
Mariaji, actually, I just wanted to ask you, you've been here for so many years, and you've been seeing how people are, how Hindus have been. When you look at the younger generation, how do you think, what is their take on Sanatana Dharma? Like, how do they view Sanatana Dharma?
I feel it is very sad state. I asked the 12th class student not in a Christian school, it was started by a Hindu, if he knows the Vedas, the 4 Vedas. yeah, he knew 4, and then he knew Rig Veda, more not. But it is just nothing of substance behind it. No? I think, yeah, we really should teach the youth, and we have allowed the youth to become so influenced by the West. Even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I noticed that there were these articles in the newspaper. Oh, the city youth, Indian youth of big cities, they are now quite open-minded. But in smaller towns, they are still very closed. And they meant basically, they are now quite open-minded, that they would have physical relationships also before marriage, and like Westerners, no? I mean, what Indians don't know is that Westerners now, there was a movement, I stay chaste till I marry or something, no? Westerners. So what happened 50 years ago in Europe, pushing into this feminism, trying to make a woman, yeah, so my rights, only my rights, no duty, no? This is very dangerous. Also, they try to break families, of course. When this Nirbhaya happened, this gang rape of Nirbhaya in 2012, I had a very strong suspicion, because just before this Rotherham gang rape, these grooming gangs in England happened. And I really felt this Nirbhaya was spread all over the world. It reached even a friend in Slovenia who is not interested in politics, but she said, what is happening in India? And then even university professor, von Sickinger, I wrote about her, she was saying, I don't accept an Indian in my class because of the rape problem in India, because I have also girls. This happened. Somebody wrote to me on Twitter, Maria, can you do something? I couldn't believe it is true. And I waited a little bit, and then already the letter of the professor, the email was shared on Twitter, and the German ambassador reacted, actually, that he says Indians are not rapists. But imagine, this was, they tried, no? And the youth thinks we know better than our parents. But please be careful. Don't go down our way, because we have become so degraded. Look at the language in America, for example. Look how mad sometimes people get. Of course, India is also a problem. It is, but if the population density of India would be in any Western country, we would. I asked once somebody, I don't know, a Spanish girl, I think, what would happen if Germany was as densely populated as India? It would have to take France and England in, I think, and if it was as densely populated as UP and Bihar, it would have to take France, England, Spain, and Italy into our borders, the whole population. Incredible. We have about the same size as Bihar, land size, but we have about 83 million, and Bihar has now, I don't know. So, yeah.
Vidyaji? Probably I'll go with the next question.
Yeah, please go ahead,
Yeah.
Ravi.
We were talking about the Europe and all those places, and you talked about Nirbhaya, where they may not know anything about India, but they knew about Nirbhaya. Similarly, where I am sitting in Australia, even though people doesn't understand very well about India, they know casteism. They know caste systems in India, and actually they feel like it is there and it is some big wrong thing that is happening. It is a social evil, of course, but they don't know the values of Hinduism, but they know caste system. Since you have been living in India for such a long time, how do you see it?
Well, I feel this caste, they attack India with the caste system. This attacking is unfair, because they cannot claim that German or English or any other society is classless, what is the same, no? I mean, they present it as if a Brahmin doesn't eat with somebody who eats meat, they present it as if this is the greatest crime a human being can do. Untouchable. I remember in primary school already, I knew about untouchables and the caste system in India. And I came to know about Nazi Germany and the concentration camps only consciously in high school when our Latin teacher, not even history, our Latin teacher showed us a movie when the Americans liberated the concentration camps. Look at the sins of the West or of Muslim invaders. How brutal they were. And they take those discrimination, of course, is bad, and it may have happened. But I think sometimes it is easier that the one group which is just above you will look down on the ones who are below you. That is everywhere like this. The Brahmins have so many rules to follow, rules of purity. Of course, in every society there are such and such people. That is understood. But in essence, this Varna structures, this 4 castes, which is supposed to be the head Brahmins, which is teaching and learning and teaching. Then the arms, which are administration and defending. Then the dais, which are the Vaishyas, the trade community and farmers. And then the feet, who contribute to the society working, which is, and the feet are, in the sense, are most important because the majority, they have to work to make our society function. Like milk comes in the morning, or so much is needed, no? That we can even sit and read in a way and learn more. No? This is, so I feel the church didn't find anything else to how to attack Hindu Dharma, and they made it look so bad. And all these stories like that the Manusmriti says that Paul led into the ears of Dalit at the Shudra if he listens to the Vedas. I have this strong suspicion that this is interpolated. It is not the original. Because if there was even one case where this had happened, it would be all over. It would be spread all over, and it would be said how brutal the Hindus are. ISIS can never compete with this. I mean, they can do whatever they do, but if a Brahmin is saying, I don't want to eat with somebody who eats meat, he is attacked as if it was the worst thing. So this, I cannot, I feel it is, it is an agenda, and yes,
apparently, Manusmriti doesn't have that verse.
Acha, it is always removed. I never saw it actually, but it is always quoted. No? But there are so many good things in Manusmriti that, for example, plants are conscious. Rudimentary consciousness is in plants. So, and also about meat eating, for example, that you should not eat meat, and not only the eater, but also not only the killer, but also the server and the cooker, and they all are basically murderers, they say. So of course, this nobody wants to hear today. But if you think honestly, look into the eyes of a cow, look into the eyes of a bakri, of a goat, or can you kill it? What does it need to kill it? What brutality needs it? So this, I feel there are certain points which are in favor of Hinduism, like it's not only one life. These 2 religions have a big problem with this, because justice is not there. You have only to say God knows best. You cannot explain, you cannot understand. God knows best. Okay. This karma makes sense. Second, Bhagwan is inside. Everything is permeated by Brahman, or encompassed, maybe better said. So this is also basically heresy for Christians. Jesus can say, I am one with my Father. But I cannot say. If I say I'm one with God, this is must not do. It is heresy. If I had lived 200 years ago, I would have been burned. And imagine about women. They attack this status of women in India. The church has burned so-called witches, thousands of them. And often it was just a grudge somebody had against somebody, and they had such absolutely no justice for them. So if they study us, they talk about us, they constantly attack us, why don't we mention what they did, and especially also what they did in India? Look what they did in Goa. And the missionaries were so duplicitous. Even they, on one hand, they told you, your scriptures are not worth anything. And on the other hand, they looted them and took them to Europe and to the Vatican. I would be very interested what is in the Vatican library. So India is a hub of knowledge. It was a hub of knowledge, I'm sure. And Indians have been so brainwashed that many are still very, don't talk like this, don't talk as if we have a golden past, and so that's, or don't mention even the yugas, that we have a long history. Just mention 10,000 years, maximum. But what about the city, which is underneath the Gulf of Kambat, which is supposed to be 32,000 years old? Nobody is excavating, nobody is talking about it. It would throw our whole ancient history into the dustbin. Aryan invasion and so on. So there's something going on, and Hindus, I feel they are waking up, and I also feel we are winning because truth is on our side. And yeah, please don't go the Western way, I would say. Don't, yeah.
Understood. Now I think our the first 1 hour is finished. So we will go with the question answer session, and we will take some questions from the audience. Rahul, if you can open the hand raising.
Actually, Ravi, there's already one question from the audience. Is it okay to go ahead with that?
I think we will call, and actually in between we'll ask it.
We can ask that. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So those who would like to ask a question, please come up. And those who are coming up, please do note that ask your questions in a concise manner. Once your questions are asked and it's been answered, you'll be sent back to the audience like we usually do. And also, most importantly, you can ask your question, but you can't expect to have the answer that you have in mind from Mariaji. Mariaji can give her opinion, but you cannot command for the answer that you have in mind. Anyway, I'll go with the first person. Prakash, go ahead.
Thank you, moderators. Hi, I'm Mariaji. Namaste.
Namaste.
My question would be, I heard you talking about, sorry, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you. So,
yeah.
Okay, my question would be, I heard you talking about that feminists in, European countries, they are, doing a lot of things here, especially the left-leaning feminists. So my question is, why do you think that the leftists in general and the feminists in the left particular, they are supporting the migrants from the troubled countries like Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, those kind of countries, so that they come up in en masse to their countries, and when they create problems for the local population, they don't raise any voice against that. I think I asked my question clearly. Thank you.
Yes, this is a good question because it is really a good question. I mean, how to understand why they react like this? But the thing is also that media in general always protects. If Muslims commit a crime, it is somehow excused as, oh, he is so mentally disturbed. He had such a terrible journey to Europe, and even they left.
Most often, terrorism has no religion.
Yeah, this is now slightly changing. It was 5 years ago, definitely like this. Yeah, but for media, of course, it has no religion. Every time they try to find the motive if something is happening, and as if they would know. But why the feminists and leftists, sometimes I really wonder whether they get some benefits for saying these things. Otherwise, I cannot understand, because they are so concerted, so together. Of course, they are brainwashed in universities also to feel so progressive with their attitude, with their woke attitude, and they can, when they read Rana Ayub and then Washington Post and New York Times, all the big BBC, they are in tune with them. So they can think that they are on the right track. And many, of course, are young also, and they don't know really so much about it. But I don't know. There were even one girl in Germany, she was raped and killed, and she was helping migrants. And her parents then were saying, I just hope that this incident does not turn anybody against the migrants. Or there was another case, I think in Sweden or Norway, that the girl didn't want to even mention it because the person was a migrant. So this is very difficult to understand. And of course, for us in Europe, those people, when they were received in Munich railway station, people were having bottles of water and showing them and great welcome signs and everything. There is also a feeling in Germany that we are so boring, only white people. It's good if we have a little variety also. So, and they look so masculine and and so this may also be a point that even those one ISIS supporter, he was openly telling that yesterday only we converted a German girl again. And you can understand that they get attracted of those people who are so focused, and they stand even by their God, and they know what they want in life, and they even die for it. And so this also impresses. But I don't really know.
Thank you. Thank you, Mariaji. Moderators, may I ask another question? One more? If you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mariaji, I understand that you came, chose Sanatana Dharma from Christianity. But in India, we all know about that a lot of different kind of cults in the name of Christianity. They are doing conversions. So, what is the best counter, in your opinion, for the Hindus against this kind of people? I mean, let me clarify that question. Is it we learn Bible and understand that what exactly it is? It is I read Bible, and in my opinion, it is a working manual for invasion, cultural invasion. So, but generally we Hindus believe that we don't need to read any other book, but we have a lot of books. We are even not reading our own books. But do you think that, my specific question is, do you think that reading and understanding what is written in books like Bible and of course the other one, it will help Hindus to fight anyway against this conversion? Thank you.
Somehow I don't really feel that Hindus should study so much Christianity. I feel it is a waste of time, because you can see very clearly what is wrong with it. The basis is lacking. It is all, look, nobody can become a Christian if not somebody is coming and says, do you know, 2000 years ago, there lived a man and he was sent by God the Father. Nobody can become a Christian if he lives on an island and never anybody came and told him. So that already is a point which it cannot be the truth, the absolute truth. It cannot depend on somebody coming and telling me. And basically the church acknowledged this when in the Second Vatican Council, they were saying that those who are living according to their conscience and who have not, and this is also mentioned, out of their own fault, not heard of Jesus, then they can go to heaven. That means basically if the church would have any sense, they would stop immediately telling about Jesus in India, because they know so many people don't convert. And they risk that all these people go, according to them, into hell, because now they have told them about Jesus and still they don't convert. So, I mean, it is also illogical. And then also there are two only truths. Christianity claims we alone have the truth. Islam, we alone have the truth. Cannot be. So there's this point. And then also, how can they say you are inferior without any proof? At least in ancient times, you had those sabbaths where there was a debate about what is the truth. Can we invite them? But the problem is right now, I went to several interfaith dialogues. Nobody says, no Hindu says anything against, not against, but just, how to say, telling what they teach. Not even criticizing them, but just exposing what they teach. Nobody is mentioning this. And I don't know why, because maybe it is clear that they have the duty to convert us. They claim they have the duty to convert us. Now, give us some proof, please. How can it be that you should have some proof that your view, your dogma is the true, this right, has anything to do with truth, and they cannot do this. So they just look, everybody who is a Christian, everybody who is a Muslim, has ancestors who were not Christians and who were not Muslims. Even Europe had suffered when they were converted. Now we have forgotten and now we get out again. Do you know that up to 150 years ago in Germany, we were not allowed to leave the church? It happened only in Prussia in 1847, I think. And now after the Second World War, especially in the 70s, from 70s onwards, there's a steady stream of going out. And they make up for it in India and Africa. In Africa, there were, in 1900, I read, 8 or 9 million Christians, and now there are 300 or 350 even. So they are still going strong, but only in those countries now, not in those who are already since longer Christian. And I'm not so much worried about Christianity. People will lose faith, I'm quite convinced. But the problem is, once they lose faith, they have lost also faith in their own deities, because they make them look so bad. Like our gods in Germany, hardly anybody can go back to them. So this is, so a few things, studying the Bible, it means the basis is not solid. And then you discuss the furniture in the room, and the basis of the house is not solid. So I don't think one needs even to take the trouble of really studying Christianity. It takes a lot of time. I never studied. I met priests. I was in a Christian ashram, Shantivana, near Tiruchirappalli, just before Kulitalai. And there I met a priest, a Jesuit, who was teaching in Nagaland, in Northeast somewhere. And he was telling me, I love Vedanta. I want to get out. So when I met him 2 years later, I said, did you get out? He said, it's not so easy. Basically, it was his bread and butter. And then I met a young priest, not yet priest, who was in the seminary. And he said in his village in Andhra Pradesh, every family, Christian family, gives a priest. And his uncle was a priest and he had died. And when the recruiters came again to the village, he was taken. He was just 16, 17. So his parents were very happy. His life is set. But he told me, I don't want to become a priest. I would like to marry. But I cannot. I cannot. My parents would lose faith. And then he sent me an invitation for his consecration. I didn't go, but he became a priest. What priest he will be, I don't know. So there are so many cases also, but we support, we think you have every right to be Christian, you have every right to be Muslim, and we don't even ask questions. You have no right to demean me. And that's what they do. This is one major point. This we have to stress. We have to focus on us. You have no right to demean us, or even to declare, maybe now you can go to heaven if you do this and this. This is unacceptable, I find. Did it answer somehow your question?
Yes, yes, Maria ji. Thank you so much for answering my question. Thank you, moderators. I'm going down. Thanks.
Thank you, Prakash. Lakshmi Chachi, go ahead.
Namaskara, Maria ji. Can you hear me?
Namaskar. Yeah, namaskar. Loud and clear. Yeah.
It was what they stand for. That is a key reason. They start hating their ancestors when they convert. So these are 2 points on which Christianity builds up. How is it that as an outsider, you see, who has been in both the things, how is it that you can break this conundrum? Thank you.
My feeling is that in India, the Christians are much more brainwashed than we even are brainwashed. So that's why they become so, yeah. Some are not even wanting this inculturation, which is a big thing, which they try to lure Christians or lure converts to this. I was in Shantivanam. There was this Pete Griffiths there. He started this inculturation in the 1980s. And he was even opposed by the bishop. And at that time, I thought maybe it's genuine and he really wants to combine both faiths. And so I learned also only with time. But he was clearly saying, I interviewed him once, he said, for me, Christianity is top. And we have realized that we cannot attract people if we walk around in our long brown habit and with shoes and eat with knife and fork or whatever. So we have adjusted basically concrete to bring people into the fold. Like even there is this Om Namah Kristai mantra I heard in Shantivanam ashram. And imagine, I was in an ashram in the Himalaya once, and I came from Shantivanam, and I asked the Swami there, what is the difference between Om Namah Shivaya and Om Namah Kristai? And he said, no difference. Imagine. And then after a while he said, well, Om Namah Kristai is quite new. Om Namah Shivaya is ancient, so the vibrations are already much more in the atmosphere, so it may have more power, Om Namah Shivaya. But they have also this Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram. They have also copied in Yesu, Namo Namaha. I mean, they lure people, and then I think also they lure them with livelihood. They take girls of poor families into some ashram, Christian ashrams. I pitied these girls actually. You feel they are under pressure and I remember also once, I don't know what to do. There was once a French priest and a Christian nun who was in this ashram. And there was a family which wanted to go back to Hinduism. And the Indian nun was absolutely sure that we can never allow this because they would go to hell. We have to oppose this. And the French priest said, if they want to go, let them go. So this, I feel Hindus should be clearer. Like I asked one Christian in this ashram, a young teacher, very nice guy. I asked him, how do Christians and Muslims get along in the village? There were some 7 families, Christian and others Muslim, not Christian Muslim, but Christian Hindus. And then he said, they get along very well. And then after a while said, the Christians think they have the better God, and the Hindus let them think so. Do you get it? I mean, if Hindus would be a little bit more strong and ask questions and would challenge also, maybe they would not get away so easily. But of course, they have the money also. No? That is a big, and I hope that the government can do something that this money luring is not allowed and this cheating or, yeah. They try so hard to, they say we have the duty, it is our duty, but can it be true?
I would like to say one thing.
Arusha, not your turn. Sorry, not your turn.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thank you so much.
Answered, no? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mariaji. Actually, I would like to just point out, you mentioned why Hindus allow it, that Christians' God is, superior. They have faced the onslaught of Islam. So there is a repugnancy for Islam within Hindus. But for Christianity, it has been so smooth, the way how they have always bribed and come in. It's always money that bought in Christianity. So that is why they keep quiet. And above all, we have outsourced our education to missionaries. So that's the primary reason. So, when you come from a Christian school, you naturally don't tend to hate your teachers because teachers are considered, a part of guru is considered very important. That concept comes from actually Sanatana, but it gets mixed up with the convent education. And that's where it's a double whammy for Hindus. But yes, you hit the point quite well. But as you said, I don't particularly believe Hindus should waste time on reading Bible because there is nothing much there, because we don't even know if that is exactly what Jesus said. It was his followers who created that. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lakshmi Cheshi. Before I come to Dr. Cognitive, Vandana, I cannot see your mic. Probably you should exit the room and just come back in. You will come back to the speaker panel itself. This is just to actually, make sure actually when it is your turn, you will be able to ask the question. Vandana, if you can, just leave the room and come back in, right back in. Dr. Cognitive, go ahead.
I want to ask a question. Your opinion about an important thing. You would have observed that in India, only the Hindu temples are under government control. And there are many people who feel that this government management of Hindu temples all over India by itself and by itself will finish off Hindu religion in due course, because everything is being trampled upon, and the Hindu temple customs and all, which they're all being put through the secular mill by the courts selectively. They don't touch other religions. Only the Hindu religious traditions are being questioned and being pulverized in the courts of law. And the government, for whatever reason, even the so-called Hinduada government, even they are not taking any action to liberate the temples. Many people are predicting that Hinduism will be finished off under the so-called Hinduada rule in some say 5-10 years time. A feat which the invaders could not do. So what do you think about this possibility? Thank you very much.
I'm more optimistic. I mean, it's true. Hindus are not equal in India. I mean, it's so incredible, and Hindus are so much attacked on top of it. This secularism, I find it is very misunderstood. And actually, I wonder if the courts could not be petitioned and it's not secular to prefer, especially those religions which are not reasonable, which have dogmas, which you have to believe blindly. Hindu Dharma, you can reason, you can debate, you can ask questions. In Christianity and Islam, you cannot ask questions. And secularism was brought in to reduce the influence of Christianity because they used the state to enforce heresy laws. In Germany, up to 200 years ago, people were killed if you did not believe what the church wanted you to believe. So when this secular, how can the court not see that it's not secular? And it is in the constitution that India is a secular state. So sometimes I wonder, we understood, in India, secular means this, you are in favor of Christianity and Islam. Yes, okay, it means in India, it is a practice which is happening, but is there not a definition for secularism? Is there not a definition that you have to treat all religions equally? And how can the court get out of this? I don't know. It has become so common that you can do with Hindus whatever you want, more or less, because they won't go on the street and shout or go around with knives. But some common sense should also be there. Like even just to the previous question, also these convent schools, we are not talking against Christianity because we were in convent schools. Yes, but we look up to the teachers, but the teacher looks down on us if he's a good Christian. So those things we should mention and stress also. The temples, in my opinion, of course, I wished they were under Hindu control, in the sense that they would be really hubs of culture and of learning again, and that the money which comes into temples could be used also for Hindus. Right now, it is not, it's only a small part is used. So this is, but this secularism, I really wonder if lawyers cannot do anything in court and say, look, there must be a definition of secularism. India is a secular state, according to so. It means all religions have to be treated equally. They are not treated equally. Then you say, okay, Hinduism is not a religion. Please. It is a way of life like every religion, but it has the Puranas, we have gods, there is a mysticism to it. You can call it religion in the sense that, I felt it was dangerous to get out of this definition of religion for Hinduism, because as long as those two religions are valued so highly, Hinduism has to insist that it's also a religion, even though it is not a dogmatic religion. Did it answer your question?
Yes, you answered. You also mentioned this regarding this Hinduism is not a religion thing, it's a way of life. I always felt that it is very unfair to say that Hinduism is a way of life, whereas Christianity and Islam, they are a way of death or what? It obviously raises the question. It's a very, very strange statement to make. It is to remove the kind of privileges and rights that come calling something religious, no? Just to remove that privilege, those privileges from Hindu religion, they have made that game. They have made the trick. There is a trick to remove the privileges and entitlements that go with somebody calling a belief system as a religion, just to deprive Hindus of those privileges. They have done this trick, this deceit on Hindus. the
Yeah,
Supreme Court.
it is.
Nobody has questioned that, and that's really, really. They're just saying that only monotheistic dogmatic religions are religions. Polytheistic religions are not religion. They are heathen. They are pagan. Whatever. So this is
Then we
really
should-
damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, then we should also say, look, those dogmatic religions are not needed. We need wisdom. We don't need dogma. Dogma is blindly believing something. Do we want this in the 21st century? I mean, we can also argue like this. I have to believe blindly that only Jesus can save me. And my neighbor has to believe blindly that only his religion can save him. I mean, can't we have some reason, and can we talk together? But of course, it would require that people are well-meaning and want to know the truth. And this doesn't seem to be the case, unfortunately. It is, yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Cognitive. I'll move to the
Thank
next
you.
question. Vandana, you can ask the question. You can unmute your mic from the right side of your screen, bottom right side. There is a mic button. Just touch it. It will unmute your mic. On your screen, on the right side, bottom, there is a mic button. Well, if you touch it, it will unmute your mic and you can ask the question. Please try.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Ja. Guten Abend, Frau Maria.
Oh, guten Abend.
Ja.
Ich spreche Deutsch.
Ja, ich spreche Deutsch. Aber jetzt spreche ich Englisch. Also alle können verstehen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have...
English would be better for all who are listening.
Yeah, she will.
Yes,
talk.
yes. So I have two questions. So I would go with the second question first and the first question later. My question here is, do you feel that in future, is there any possibility that just the true knowledge seekers will remain or will become Hindus? And maybe all the other people who really are not seeking the true knowledge, the truth, they won't be Hindus or they won't remain Hindus. What do you think? What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, in a way, you express it rightly. Those who truly search for truth, they would come to this wisdom because it is
Right.
about truth. And this blind belief in dogmas, which cannot be proven and which cannot be true also, because in Christianity, you have good things in the sense, the Sermon of the Mount, and that's what you are taught probably also in school. And Jesus is nice and so, but you are not taught that it includes also looking down on Hindus, for example. That there is no equality of human beings. And also the problem is that God is separate. It's very difficult you cannot prove it, that God is separate somewhere. And it doesn't make sense that he watches everybody from somewhere. And Hindu Dharma, it makes so much more sense. If you, of course, you cannot really debate about India's wisdom without really going deep into it. It's not just an intellectual thing. So those true knowledge seekers, I think they would want to do sadhana. They would want to know the truth. The aspiration is there. And I think there are many different types of people in the world, and some are just not interested yet in knowing the truth. They want to enjoy life or be very successful also. There are different types of people. But I think really if you want to, I mean, look, in Christianity, there were some mystics like Meister Eckhart also, and they had apparently realized their oneness with God, and they were excommunicated or even killed. So this here in India is the wisdom of, and I feel also the Vedas, they are the original revelation, what they call revelation in Christianity and what they call revelation in Islam. It came much later, and it is, it cannot be true for all humanity, because I don't think it is possible that our creator, the creator of this universe, would divide humanity into those who go to heaven and those who go to hell, and those who are right and those who are wrong, and only gives them one life to make it to heaven or to hell. And so, yeah, true knowledge seekers, I'm sure they would come to Hindu Dharma or Sanatana Dharma or Indian wisdom, or however you want to call it. Did this
Right.
answer your question?
Yes, because yes, somewhere I always think that yes, maybe the true knowledge seekers would remain Hindus or would become Hindus. So nowadays, because I'm seeing that many of the people from Europe and other countries, they are getting attracted to the Sanatana Dharma, and they want to really read the scriptures and everything and get to know thoroughly about it. So that question always arises in my mind. Now the second, one more thing is there, that you always remind me of Bhagini Nivedita whenever I come across your write-ups and everything. You always, always it strikes to me that, oh, Bhagini Nivedita. So when I read about her, and when I read about her being the disciple of Swami Vivekananda, it always came to my mind, or I always curious to know how this power of Brahman acts and make the changes in the psyche of the people like you, who are, nowadays at least social media and so many things are there, but in her time there was nothing there, and she just heard once or twice from Vivekananda, and she decided for a complete change in her life. So uh, what power is working for all these things? My spiritual guru, he will always he hails from the Nath sect. His name is Swami Madhavananda from
Oh,
Maharashtra, Pune.
oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So he will always say that spirituality is beyond your mana, buddhi and sharir, that is your psyche, your intellect and your body. It is beyond that. So I would like to ask you, was that just one instance which made you, turn 360 degrees, or it was a process for a couple of years? How was it?
I don't know, but in retrospective, I think one point was that I was always very truthful from childhood onwards. My mother even told me once that she was surprised that I just would not tell lies. So I feel this helped me maybe to get to India. Actually, I was very shy. I mean, I was really, as I said, I was taken to gurus, and I would not have gone on my own also. But I feel if you want to search for truth, you have to be truthful also. So sometimes I wonder, because Hindus were so much under pressure for 1,000 years, they had to survive. And that this telling, even bahanas, even white lies, it comes very easy sometimes to Hindus, maybe also to be friendly, and I find it very difficult to say even white lies. No? So maybe this helped me. And I also feel what helped me now. In the beginning, I started to repeat a lot of mantras, which I feel they have just power. I wish there would be research done into it. There is still so much research to be done, but I don't know how this Bhagavan works, but I feel everybody is taken care of. Ultimately, we all reach there, and everybody has a different journey. But sometimes I feel when you are really connected with, when you're doing a lot of meditation, or trying to feel close to your inner Atma, then also amazing things happen, outside and inside. Outside also, like that, a friend was coming to India, and he wrote to me, but his letter didn't reach me because I was traveling. And So, and we met by chance. I mean, it is almost impossible in India to meet by chance. If I had no idea that he was in India, and things like this. There were several, I am convinced it's not a belief in God anymore, but it's really, of course, there is a power behind all this. And it manifests in so many ways. For example, Ramana Maharishi once set an example. He, a devotee of his, he had a serious accident. He was in big trouble, I don't know what. And he called out to Ramana Maharishi, and Ramana Maharishi appeared to him, and he saved him. So when next time he came to Ramana Maharishi, he asked him, did you know that you saved me? And Ramana Maharishi said, the consciousness takes that form which is dearest to the devotee.
Exactly. True. Yes.
It means even it is Bhagwan who comes. Whether Ramana Maharishi or it is
the inner self is connected, particularly with your spiritual guru.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vandana.
Thank you.
Ravi Kumar, you can ask your question. Yes, Ravi Kumar.
Namaste, Sri. Namaste, Sri Wirth.
Namaste.
Yeah, so glad to be here. And I would just, I've been seeing the comment section also, so I just want to ask you something in regarding to the revival of Sanatana Dharma. Okay, the way, what I feel is for over 1,000 years, we have been under occupation. Okay, the Mughals followed by the British. And during which period the religion was oppressed. And then even after post-independence, the government did not take any opportunity or any policy to revive it back by educating, means by making the dharmic education as part of the educational curriculum, because of which most Hindus, 99% or even more than that, do not know the ABCD of what they are. And then because of this, so many people keep saying that because of casteism, Hinduism is unable to be like other faiths, so and so. Okay, which are all, I don't think Varna system has existed since the eternal times. And people have lived together peacefully, loving each other. And it had a glory period of, a glory in various fields. And which we all know that India means all the knowledge originated here in this Yoga Bhumi. So don't you think that dharmic education or education of Hindus about their faith should be part of the curriculum? Because now all others have their own system. Yeah, please.
It is quite clear.
Yeah, I hope it is in the new education policy. I'm not sure. I did not follow up what is coming, but I think there are now also different boards. I think Baba Ramdev has started a board. So there are now many, situation is getting better. Yeah, it was very bad that nothing was taught so long for 70 years after independence. It was really very bad in a sense, because it drew people away from it, and nobody knows really, and when they are attacked, that they cannot react also. But I hope that the new that it is coming, and also there are now many independent groups which try to educate children, and also on the internet that small videos come. So now knowledge is more easily available. Of course, it would be good also to be in school, but in the last years, one good thing has happened, that Hindus can speak up much more freely, and they are doing it. And in many places, I think there are people now wondering what can we do for survival and for flourishing of Hindu Dharma, because it has to survive in the interest of humanity. our all interest. When somebody sometimes says, oh, Maria, thank you for what you're doing to Hindu Dharma, I say, I do it also for me. I want it has to survive. I mean, if we land up in a state like Pakistan, or it would be not so nice. No? So, yeah, I think hope it gets into the curriculum.
Yeah, so I just want to add another point. As you said, yes, there are many other institutions, individuals, groups, internet, where there are sources for educating. Okay, but then most of us, I say most of the Hindus are nonchalant in availing those. Okay, they keep their time as much as possible for the secular activities, but not for this. Okay, and only I think the making it part of the education should be the only way forward for a full revival. That's my view.
Yeah. I mean, youth is drawn into now not so much into malls and not so much into ashrams. Like 40 years ago, they would go for arti in an ashram, and probably they were more happy even there than walking around in a mall and having some food or some drink. It has been pushed in, I think. They wanted to deracinate Hindus, and they have unfortunately succeeded to quite an extent, but I think it's not yet too late to bring people back. And I think even youngsters more and more realize the value of the tradition. And this is terrifying for us, for those who want to control us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raviva.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nahush, you're there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. I want to give my appreciation first to thank you, Maria. I follow you on social media, and I'm extremely happy that you speak out and you're vocal about the issues that Hinduism is facing. I'm really, really happy to be here talking to you. One question I want to ask is, you know, I feel that Hindus can be a lot more vocal about speaking about Hinduism simply on the basis of Hinduism, not even taking into consideration, you know, the rebuttals needed for other Abrahamic faiths, but to the fact that just speaking on the basis of Hinduism and teaching Hinduism to their fellow Hindus who may or may not know about Hinduism. So there's a bhajan like Bhajo Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Garo Krishna, Shiksha. So I think, you know, we all have some degree of knowledge as Hindus as to, you know, what is Hinduism from different various aspects. And I think if we simply start that process of simply conversing about Hinduism, all these, you know, infiltrated like mantras from made up mantras from Christianity, they will lose its potency. As we know, like the true mantras coming from Hinduism have a lot of potency. So I'm trying to do that more. I actually belong to the Hare Krishna movement, and we go on Harinam here in the US, and we're trying to just spread Krishna, you know, Hinduism from that aspect. And I feel that if you have a more temple-centric programs where we have the food, the prasad coming from the temple, and the education coming from the temple, that'll help start a revival across India. We have to go in progressional steps. We can't depend on the government right now. That's my idea. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I feel it's very important, and I feel Hindus should do it better than I do it, because my strength, of course, is that I can compare, because I am insider in two religions. So I speak up for, I can more freely speak up, also mentioning what is maybe wrong with Christianity and what Hindus are not doing, but it's very important to put out what Hinduism is about, because Hindu Dharma has to spread. And people have to know, common people, even in the West. Many are open for it, but we don't know about it. We hear very little about it. So this should, in fact, in the earlier years, when I wrote only in German language for 20 years, my English was not good enough. So I wrote only about Vedanta, about the Indian spirituality. I did not compare with, sometimes I wrote one article Christianity no thank you, and I think it landed me up on some Vatican list because anyway, but yeah, this bring out the good things and the reasonable things, and what fascinates me also is, for example, the Puranas. There's so much knowledge in the Puranas, and some people say, oh, it's only fairy tales or story. No, no, no. And please take it seriously and don't be ashamed. How to say, if some things sound very out of the normal thing. For example, I was in 1982 at a conference in Mumbai. I wrote about it. It was convergence between ancient science and ancient wisdom and modern science. And what surprised me was that there very few Indians were. There were Fritjof Capra, Karl Pribram, Rupert Sheldrake, famous names at the time, but no Indian really. It was on transpersonal psychology, the main theme. And I was recently at the university here, and I talked with a psychology professor, and I asked her, do you know about transpersonal psychology? Do you teach transpersonal psychology? Because at the time it was really clearly mentioned, it was inspired from India, because concept of Atma is transpersonal. Then she didn't know about it. So, and when you Google transpersonal psychology now, nothing of India comes. Or even consciousness studies. It's now very popular in the West. I met an English girl here, and she was studying consciousness studies. So I said, you must be hearing a lot about India. She said, no. They have everything taken away. So Hindus have to take charge and say, look, this is our heritage. This is our tradition, and see for yourself how valuable it is. I hope this will happen. And meanwhile, I can also say, look how unreasonable certain things are. I don't mean there are not good Christians. That is not the point. Good people are everywhere, but usually the good Christians are, the good people among Christians are not very much Christian. They are not the missionary type. Missionaries are also very good. They have to be so good, but it's a kind of hypocritical goodness. They are overwhelmingly good. It's they want to save their soul, and they have to take in every child and convert it, and so it is strangulating good somehow. So in this way, yeah. Did it answer somehow the question?
Yes, it answered. It answered, and it also gives the whole colonial history. Taking all the sciences away from India, and then just over time, and deleting whitewashing information, like we've seen with what the Portuguese did in Goa. Like, there's hardly any record they left behind, but we know there's the horrible things they've done to Hindus. So in the same way, they're doing this academia. So this is it's a big effort, and even the word secularism is illegally put into the Indian Constitution. It doesn't belong there. It was done under Indira Gandhi under emergency, where the other party was put under arrest, so they couldn't, be part of the negotiations in Congress. So this is not when it comes to India, the Christians and the Muslims band together. But when it comes in the U.S., I see that the Christian majority population generally has an animosity towards the Muslims in general. And then when it comes to their interests in their wars, okay, now we're gonna attack Iraq and everything. That's what they do. Yeah. So but we see here that when it comes to India, these two parties band together. Oh, we cannot agree on everything, but we can agree that Hindus are fakirs or whatever they want to call us. So this type of thing has to be brought out into the limelight, and it has to be exposed, but that has to be done from more of a political level. But I think from the ground reality, it's really important that we understand that we have to reclaim our temples. we can't let the Christian people, like they're taking over the temple in Karnataka. I forget the name, but it's a very big temple, and they're doing whatever they want to it, and they're digging up the ground for thorium under the guise of being churches. I mean, this has reached to so many bad heights that I feel that the government has to declare emergency to remove secularism from the constitution and implement Hinduism as the only main dharma, because even secularism as practiced in the Western countries, in France, it's the basis is Christianity being as the main dharma or main religion, and then everything else is accepted as secular. But in India, it's forget Hinduism, secularism first. No, this has to go completely. We have to put the names of Krishna, Ram, Shiva first, and then we can worry about anything else. This consciousness change has to come in India very soon, and that's my opinion on it. And I'm just trying to raise awareness. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Our time is almost getting over. That's why. Vipin, please go ahead. Vipin.
Yeah. Namaste, Mariaji.
Namaste.
Yeah. So the point that I observe is like I grew up in a religious family. Then I left religion and then came back because I realized that the wisdom of what my ancestors passed on is something that we need to protect. So it's not entirely about religion, but it's about the wisdom. Because if you ask me, Hinduism is all about wisdom. Now, my observation, and I need feedback on this, especially from a person who has actually understood Hinduism or the native way of life better. So, would it be okay to say that Buddhism is, Buddha was one of the reason why the decline of Hinduism started? The reason is at that point of time, ahimsa was encouraged, which is good, which is of course the pillar of Hinduism, but somewhere that destroyed the Kshatriya clan. So one of the pillars of this Varna was destroyed. And after that, the current scenario is people are focused on Brahmins, because now if knowledge is destroyed, then the next pillar is down. So my question is ahimsa proving to be one of the biggest challenge for Hinduism? When I say ahimsa, I'm not talking about hinsa in terms of physical violence, no. But I see that most of the Hindus do not have sufficient self-respect to stand up and say that my belief is as important as yours. Probably they don't understand the value of their belief, or probably they don't realize that this is something which is so priceless that it cannot even be compared with other religions or belief system. So how can so now I don't take any other religion as an opposition or enemy or nothing like that, but what I understand in my opinion is that we are looking at the problem in a very wrong way. We are targeting Christianity or Islam using their own technique. Probably if we come out of that and think from a holistic perspective, from the decline of the Varna system, again, I don't support any system, I don't support any god or any cult. No, that's not my point. My point is, how can we preserve the existing wisdom that our ancestors passed on to us? And is ahimsa one of the biggest challenges that we're facing right now? Thank you.
Is it ahimsa, or is it not having courage to stand up?
Can I give a feedback? Because see, one of the biggest propaganda that was done by the so-called leaders under, I don't know what influence they had, is like ahimsa paramo dharma, but that's not the complete thing. I very later part of my life realized that that's incomplete unless we have a dharma system which can protect ahimsa. We cannot propagate ahimsa. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a small child, if the child is brought up in a safe environment where the child is not exposed to abuse, the child grows up and reaches a stage where the child becomes confident to be a good person. But what if the child is abused from childhood and the child could potentially turn out to be a violent person? So my point is, like, the same way people are innocent, people have good things in their mind, but there is nothing to protect them. You see, I was born in Kerala, and I'm basically a Keralite. I was traveling outside and came back to Kerala just last few months, and I see the kind of decline. I'm sorry, I'm paying a little judgment here. The kind of beef culture, they somehow feel proud. I don't know. It's not proud, but then there's a hinsa in the ahimsa part. When I say ahimsa is acceptance of a different culture, but that itself is showing hinsa because killing animals, non-vegetarian. I'm not against any food preference, but I'm against the kind of expression of violence against animals. So that's what my question is. It's not courage. It's probably
Vipin, actually, what you're trying to say, from what I understand, is being ahimsa put on Hindus, we lost our voice to ask about the inequalities and all those things. We become very passive.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah, Mariaji.
Thank you. Yeah, Mariaji. Thank you.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I heard this several times, that Buddha was first who kind of weakened the society because of Kshatriya not being strong anymore and not wanting to fight. And now they are going after Brahmins. That is a very good analysis you made, because the pillars are slowly taken down. And the Shudras already, they are supposed to be alak anyway, separate from Hinduism. They want to project them as not belonging to Hinduism. So it's very dangerous. But this ahimsa, I mean, it should be clear that ahimsa is very good, but sometimes himsa is needed to defend Dharma. If you are attacked, and not only if you are attacked, sometimes you have to attack first also to be in a better position. I mean, it's not, you have to defend Dharma. And this is,
actually, the verse that he was mentioning, ahimsa paramo dharma, the remaining part is dharma himsa tadaivaja. That is usually not said. Go ahead.
Yeah, this basically was a point. I can't say much more, but we need our people who are not afraid also to hit out if you are hit. And we are very much hit right now. We are under attack, massive attack. And whatever they use, we have to not only counter and not only defend. Actually, we should really also be proactive in spreading the knowledge about Hindu Dharma. That is very important, that people know about it, and that we get I think many Christians in name only in Europe, they would support Hinduism if they knew about it. Right now, they are so brainwashed about this caste system. I was in Germany last time I was there was a woman telling me, I could never live in India. This is caste oppression. They don't know anything, but they take it up, and then it is lodged in their brain and nothing gets it out anymore. And how we can project Hindu Dharma, it is I think people long for truth. The West is in a very bad state, and this only trying to enjoyment, it doesn't. Look at the senior citizen home in Europe, in Germany especially. So many people are dement now. And I think also it has to do with it, just don't want to think about it. Now death is coming, and how did I live? I don't know how did I live. What will be after death? I don't know. It's a very sad state. They have nothing to hold on. And what they do in this home is only to keep people engaged, to keep them busy, so that they don't think, that they don't have time to wonder what is happening. So I think people would long for wisdom, but we have not really gone out. They come in and influence us. And when we just say a little bit things, is it a Hindu fundamentalist, extremist, fascist? It's very unfair. No? So I hope we can spread it, because it is in the interest of humanity, no doubt.
Vipin, I think actually that answers your question.
Just one thing, Maria ji said that, we have to bring it back. But how is that possible when our education system is completely hijacked by every possible alien forces?
Yeah, but I think maybe hopefully it's getting better now with a new education policy and with schools like Baba Ramdev's schools, who has I think a new board. I am not so much informed about what is happening in the education sector, but what I see on little videos also on the net, if they can spread and if they can reach a wider audience, then people can know about the tradition. Like I saw yesterday, and I hope I find it again, there was just, I think, Hindu Dharma in 5 minutes. It was said about the different darshanas, nicely explained. The main, like Vedanta, Yoga, Sankhya, Vimamsa, and also Jaina, Bodha, and what else? One more. So he put it in a very quick fashion and very clear, and maybe sometimes such a listening to a video is more effective than an hour in a classroom when you're not really interested, and can be. But of course, interest has to come, and we have to bring the youth back into sense. They have been really brainwashed to believe this Western modernism and openness and feminism and gender. It's very, this woke culture is very, it won't satisfy people.
Very clear. Thank you, Vijay.
Actually, Maria ji, before we come to the last question, I just wanted to add a little bit to what you had mentioned to Vipin ji regarding the new education policy. It's basically that it's a step-by-step, which is happening in a phased manner. So that is taking place, but it's going to take some time, because now the first thing they are trying to do is the correction of the textbooks, especially history textbooks. So, starting from standards 1 to 4, and in the same way, the next level and the level after that. So that is being done in a phased manner. The only thing, it's going to take a bit of time, because there's so much of faulty literature that has been, integrated into a material, and people have been negationated so much that it's going to take some time. So like you rightly said, the new education policy is coming into effect slowly but steadily. Okay, so I just wanted to add that.
Yeah,
and,
very nice.
Yeah, and there's one question that we have from the moderator's side. Basically, how would you see India in the future? I mean, like, what is your vision for India in the future?
A lot of talk is right now about the Great Reset, and a lot of fear is also connected with it, that they want to reset the world according to the Chinese communist pattern, basically. So I am somehow hopeful now, with India taking charge also of G20, being in a better position. And I think there's a very careful maneuvering necessary from the government side. But I really hope that India makes it, that India is in a position to make it the Indian model, not the Chinese model, according to India's ancient tradition, that this knowledge comes to the fore. That even I heard somewhere that now in this year, when India is leading the G20, that we should really spread our knowledge. If I say our, it's mine also. in this, and really, maybe people are more and more open towards it if we present it in a good way. So I really hope this will happen. And I am optimistic, because truth is on our side, and it won't let us down, and it is getting better already, and the desperation is also getting worse. of the other side. The attacks are unreasonable. I mean, the lies are incredible. And maybe they become so big that finally people will realize also that Hindus are not like this. Maybe I can say, and there was a question on Quora. It said, will India become the most hated country? Is India becoming the most hated country? Imagine such a question. So I replied to it, and I said, India will never become the most hated country because too many people have been in India and know India, and too many people abroad
Yeah, the last, towards the end of the session.
Yeah.
And how do you like the session?
Yeah, nice. It was. I see you. I mean, you must be tired now in Australia. I think it is how long?
I'm quite used to it.
Yeah.
I hope actually now the questions were good and you enjoyed the session.
Yeah, it was. I'm always nervous before speaking because I feel I can be much better in writing. I can be more precise and I can throw out what I don't need. And in speaking, sometimes I get from one point to the other. So this is, I have no experience in speaking also because I was never a teacher. And that's why I'm always a bit, yeah, So, but it was good. It was, yeah. Once it happens, once the session starts, the fear is also gone.
Correct. So it was wonderful having you with us. And thank you very much for being with us. Namaste.
Thank you.
Yes.
Namaste.
Thank you, Maria.